And welcome to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Brett Raven. This is season 3, and on Mondays we will now be doing our weekly comic reviews. I'm going to try to do them in under 30 minutes per episode. Just try and get as much as we can in that a lot of time. So, without further ado, let's get to the reviews. I'm going to do them in alphabetical order to the titles. No other real sense of order there. Our first book is Kanto the Hollow Men #4 from IDW Publishing for $3.99. Writer is David M. Booher. Art is by Drew Zucker and Philip Seavey. Color by Vittorio Astoni, and the genre is fantasy. Kanto reaches the inner sanctum of the Yellow Mountain and meets the princess, only to discover, in order to save his people and stop the Shrouded Man's evil magic, he must sacrifice his clockwork heart in exchange for the Shrouded Man's heart and become mortal. Recommended for all ages. 4.5 stars. Because I've got so many different titles this week, I'm not going to be showing interior pages this particular week, but it is still one of the top all ages comics on the market right now. And, you know, it's still got the kind of a dark fantasy stuff going on, but, you know, very much in line with what I've reviewed on Kanto in the past. Still top-notch level stuff, so I still highly recommend the book. Our next book is ENGINEWARD #6 for $3.99 from Vault Comics. Writer is George Mann. Artist is Joe Eisma. The colors are by Michael Garland. The genre is science fiction and fantasy. What it's about in this episode or issue, Jess Ichabod and their crew find another wrecked starship, download valuable information about the truth of the Zodiac Celestials that their community's been worshiping. Meanwhile, Marl returns to the city and tells Nippon of the truths the groups have already learned in previous issues. The pair plan some sort of distraction or confrontation to keep the Celestials focused on them, while Jess and company move on to their next destination, just as they are made aware that the ship that they're on has triggered a self-destruct mechanism. That's your what's the word I'm trying to think of? Cliffhanger moment for the issue. Recommended for ages 15 and up. It's 3 out of 5 stars. Pretty much standard stuff for that title. I haven't quite lost interest in it yet. I'm hoping by the end of this arc, I can be pretty much done with it. I don't know how many more issues it's got left. Hopefully it's going to run like maybe 12 issues out of the most, but we'll see. Next book is Homesick Pilots #1 for $3.99 from Image Comics. This came out a few weeks ago. Writer is Dan Waters. The artist is Casper Wingard, and the genre is horror action adventure. And what it's about, Amita and her friends are a teenager punk band called Homesick Pilots in California in what appears to be the 1980s. After seeing a punk show by a rival band, Amy says that they need to set up a gig at an old house that has a reputation for being haunted. She visits the house by herself and disappears. Her bandmates come looking for her, and as does the rival band, who apparently are planning to rob them, or at least one member of the rival band is planning to rob them. The house comes alive and traps them inside, and Amy appears elsewhere as a ghost in an unrelated locale, asking for the return of a horseshoe that belongs to the house. It's kind of a mature reader's book, so I recommend it for ages 16 and up. I gave it 4.5 stars. Now, it is a new series. Issue number 2 is supposed to come out this week, so I'll probably get that on Wednesday and review that next week as well, as long as it comes in. But so far, it's been a pretty good series. Wingard's art is nice. I know the cover doesn't really tell you story-wise what he's doing, but artistically, design-wise, we'll take a quick look again at that art style. It's very nice stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the series goes. Kaiju Score number 2 is our next book. Publisher number 2 is actually, that is not a $4.99 book. That is a $3.99 book, I believe. Let me check real quick. Make sure I'm right on that. Nope, I was mistaken. It's $4.99. It is $4.99. Okay. Anyway, publishers Aftershock Comics, writers James Patrick. The art and colors are by Rem Brew with letterer Dave Sharp. The genre is crime, action, adventure. And what it's about, well, in issue 1, Marco was hired to commit a heist in the middle of a kaiju attack in Miami. Now he and his crew are in the thick of it. Only Marco's crew isn't what it seems, and things go sideways. And then a second kaiju makes landfall in Miami, something that apparently never happens. So honestly, I'm thinking that since the first kaiju came into town as a female and is napping in the middle of the city, the new one is her mate, and it's mating season of all things. At least that's what I'm expecting to see happen. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Recommended for ages 16 up. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. The characterizations are pretty, I wouldn't say they're one note, but they're pretty predictable. A lot of this that goes sideways is expected to go the way it goes in the story. It's all fairly well structured as a story, so it's worth following. Our next issue, or our next book rather. Next books. Our Norse Mythology, issues 3 and 4 for $3.99 each. Publisher is Dark Horse. Writers are Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell. Artist is P. Craig Russell and Peter Kowalski, with colors by Laverne Kinzierski. The genre is mythology, fantasy, and what's about? Well, these are basically really well told adaptations of classic Norse mythology, Asgardian mythology tales. And in these 2 issues, we find Loki trying to trick the gods into marrying off Freya to a giant, and we see the origins of Hela and the Midgard serpent Jormungandr, which I'll get into that in just a second. It's been too long since I've read the original, prose story, so I forgot that both Hela and Jormungandr are actually children of Loki, and a giant that he had a relation with. Overall, the series is just really well done. I might prefer it if it was all P. Craig Russell doing all the artwork. He mostly does breakdowns with Kowalski doing the finishes, but Kowalski does a respectable job in his own right, and it still looks really nice. So recommended for ages 15 and up. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Let's go ahead and move on to the next book. And that is Resident Alien. Your Rides Here, issues 2 and number 3, $3.99 each from Dark Horse. Writers Peter Hogan. The artist is Steve Parkhouse, and the genre is science fiction. As you can see, this is now a sci-fi channel series that's going to be coming out later this month, and we will review that when that series premieres on the show. Well, it's about continuing the last story of the comic book series. They're finishing up the series just as they're going to put it on TV. Go figure that one. Dr. Harry, that's our resident alien, is seeing his nice little world fall apart around him as his friends are getting married, but now he needs to move from his adopted hometown before the government finds him and use him to their own ends. But is it already too late? Harry wonders, as one of his friends has been attacked, and now the bride's daughter has gone missing just after the wedding. The hunt begins, or is it just a trap for him? Recommended for ages 15 and up. I give it 4.5 stars. This is a very solid series, one of the best products that Dark Horse put out in recent year. It's really kind of a shame that's coming to a close, but I guess they've done quite a bit with it. They've got like 4 or 5 collections with the series now, and if they want to end it as they're moving into television, who am I to say? But yeah, so far it's doing really well, and we'll see where it goes. We only got maybe 3 more issues left of the series. Our next book, or books, is Sympathy for No Devils, number 1 through 3. Pardon me. Number 1 is $4.99, and number 2 and 3 are $3.99. That's why I had the confusion on Kaiju Score. I thought maybe number 1 was $4.99 and the next ones were cheaper. The reason number 1 is $1 more is because it has a heavier, thicker cardstock cover than in the following issues. The publisher is Aftershock. The writer is Brandon Thomas. The artist is Lee Ferguson, with colors by Jose Villarrubia. The genre is horror, crime, fantasy. And what it's about: Winston Wallace, that's the consistent black guy with the funky hairdo, is a human in a world of monsters. An police inspector turned private investigator embroiled in a major case, one that bears an uncanny similarity to the very case that got him kicked off the police force. Who or what is behind these murders, and can Winston solve it and bring the culprit to justice? Or is there justice even to be had in a world ruled by demons and monsters? Recommended for ages 17 and up because there's some S&M stuff going on and other things that are a little more mature themed. And I give it a 3 out of 5 stars so far on the series. Winston kind of reminds me of this, I don't know, he's like this kind of weird amalgamation between different characters. He's like a black version of Doctor Strange meets Longshot meets John Constantine. He doesn't really stand out to me yet as his own unique character. I don't know if that's just because Thomas and Ferguson are so busy world building that we're seeing all the world first before we really delve into Winston's character. But the only real flaw I see is that he needs to kind of build more character in the Winston to make him more unique as the series progresses. Our next book is Tarna, or Tarna, I don't know how that's pronounced. $3.99 from Heavy Metal Media. Writer Stephanie Phillips. The artist is Patrick Zerker, with colors by Jessica Colleen, and a cover by Christian Ward. The genre is science fiction fantasy. And what it's about: the hero Tarna from the movie Heavy Metal continues her adventures. In this issue, she uses her powers to stop a star from going supernova, thereby saving a nearby planet. In the race, they're trying to worship her as a god, but she ignores them and heads back to her place of sanctuary and goes through a restorative process. But as Tarna is an agent of order, so too must there be agents of chaos for balance in the universe. Some monsters materialize either on the planet she just saved or elsewhere at the end of the issue. It's definitely recommended for ages 17 and up. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. There is some nudity in the series. She takes off her clothes to get into the restorative bath and they give you a full frontal and stuff like that. So it's not really appropriate for kids. I want to make sure people understand that. Most people understand that heavy metal is going to be an adult anyway, but just in case. Overall, not a bad start for it. I'm not that familiar with Stephanie Phillips as a writer per se. Zerker, I'm familiar with. He's doing a nice job with it artistically. Love the cover by Christian Ward, but overall, it's a decent first step. We'll have to see where it goes. Our next books are USAGI YOJIMBO issues 15 and 16, pardon me, for $3.99 each. Publisher is IDW. The writer-artist is Stan Sakai, with colors by Hi-Fi Studios. The genre is anthropomorphic action-adventure fantasy, and what it's about in this story arc, we meet Sujobo, a Tengu, that's a Japanese spirit yokai, who it turns out is a mentor of Usagi, and we get to see a flashback of Usagi's training as a young samurai. Sujobo is now being attacked by a rival feral Tengu clan of wolves, Wolf Clan, and Usagi must team up with his former mentor to try and stop them from taking over the domain. Recommended for all ages, 5 stars. It's kind of a given here. I always give the Usagi books 5 stars. It is, without a doubt, one of the best, if not the best, comics published in North America, if not the world. And we also have USAGI YOJIMBO's Wanderer's Road #2 from IDW for $3.99, with written by Stan Sakai. Colors is Rhonda Pattison, with a cover by Peach Momoko. And in this particular story, Usagi and Spot, his pet lizard or pet dino or whatever he's supposed to be, come across an old woman in the hills above a town. He brings her home and witnesses a brutal attack by taxation thugs. Soon Usagi learns that the person employing these thugs is the old woman's son. She asks him to assassinate the son to free the town of his evil, but Usagi cannot do this and tries to stay out of the matter. The old woman then frames Usagi for her own murdering of her son. What happens next? Recommended for all ages, and again, 5 stars because this is top-notch comics. You cannot complain about that one. Is this one new? If you mean the Usagi Yojimbos, yes. They've been out. They only came out like last month, or I think 16 came out last week. So it's like last month and this month. If that's what you were asking about, Mark. Let me know if that was the one you were referring. If that's what you were referring to. Okay, yeah, definitely check out the Usagi Yojimbo stuff from IDW. Yeah, those should be like I said, I think 15, 16 Wanderers Roads, all stuff I got in the last 1 to 3 weeks. And that pretty much closes our reviews for the day. Normally, I give interior shots of the books. Didn't have time to do that this week. I had a computer glitch right before earlier today, but I'll have that fixed for next week. But on Wednesday, this will be some of the stuff that I know I'm getting, or at least it's supposed to come out on Wednesday. And that'll be Homesick Pilots #2, Green Lantern Future State #1, Soulstream #1, Lonely Receiver #5, and Origins, I believe that's #3. And so I will get those on Wednesday, and assuming they come into my store. And I'll review those books as well as other books next week on Monday, January 18th, 2021. And also on Wednesday, because I'm a little bit behind on things, I'm going to do some additional reviews of books that I already have in. Just don't know exactly what yet because I've got really stacks and stacks of unread comics and unread graphic novels. So I'll let you guys know what that's going on then on Wednesday around the same time, 5:45 p.m. And I'll also let you know who our guests are this week for our Thursday podcast talking session. Okay, so I want to thank you all for watching, and we will see you again very shortly. Probably on Wednesday.